Imagine this. You're standing in Tenochtitlan, the massive, bustling capital of the Aztec Empire. We're talking towering temples, incredible canals, and a really complex social order. But that order was held together by a system of justice that was swift, direct, and, let's be honest, to our modern eyes, absolutely bizarre. So what happens when you break the rules in a world like this? Well, we're about to find out. So really, put yourself in that situation. You've messed up. You've broken a law. But forget everything you know about our legal system. There are no police officers to read your rights, no defense attorneys, no drawn-out trials. It's much, much simpler than that. The only question is, what happens to you now? What's your fate? We're going to walk through a few scenarios, and trust me, the answers are probably not what you're expecting.
All right, so let's start with our first case file. We're talking about a crime that's as old as time itself, something that happens in pretty much every society: theft.
Okay, so picture the scene. You've been caught, completely red-handed, taking something that isn't yours. The person you stole from points a finger, a crowd starts to gather around you. Yeah, there's no talking your way out of this one. The Aztec justice system has you now.
So what do you think the punishment is? I mean, in our world today, you might get a fine, maybe some community service, right? It's all very impersonal, a debt you pay back to the state. But the Aztecs, they had a much more direct way of handling things.
That's right. You become the actual property of your victim. Now, this is what's so fascinating. The justice is incredibly personal. This isn't about repaying some abstract debt to society. Nope. It's about repaying the specific person you wronged face to face. A simple idea, but a consequence that would completely change your life forever.
Okay, let's move on to our next case, and we're really raising the stakes here. We're going from a crime against one person to a crime the Aztecs saw as an attack on the very fabric of their entire society.
So we're talking about adultery. And in the Aztec world, this was not just a private scandal. Not at all. To them, it was an offense that threatened the stability of the family, and if the family unit falls apart, well, so does the state. It was seen as a deep betrayal of the entire social order. So, for a crime that they thought was that serious, that damaging to the whole community, the punishment had to be just as serious, just as final. What do you think would be a fitting sentence for an act that was considered a crime against the state itself?
The punishment was death, period. And the source material is brutally clear about it. You'd be either strangled or stoned to death. And it says they weren't fussy as long as you died. Wow. There was zero gray area here. For the Aztecs, the integrity of their state was worth demanding the ultimate price.
Which brings us to the climax of this whole explainer. The punishment for the most severe crime of all. The one that could truly shatter the peace of the empire.
Taking someone's life. You know, today we think about life sentences, long-term prisons. But you have to remember, the Aztecs didn't have a prison system like we do. There was nowhere to just lock people away for decades. So, when a murder happened, the response had to be final. And as we're about to see, it was also deeply, deeply ritualistic.
The sentence was this horrifying two-part ritual. First, they'd put the convicted murderer on a bonfire and burn them until they were right on the edge of death. But that wasn't the end. In the final, absolutely gruesome step, they would cut the still-beating heart right out of their chest. It was a brutal, terrifying spectacle designed to be the ultimate warning to anyone else.
Okay, wow. After that intensity, let's kind of shift gears and do a quick rapid-fire round of some other rules and their strange, fascinating exceptions. Because it wasn't all just life and death. Aztec law was packed with oddities that tell us so much about their culture.
Let's think about a more minor offense, right? Like being drunk in public. For the Aztecs, who were all about order and self-control, this was a huge social screw-up. The punishment wasn't just a slap on the wrist. Oh no, it was designed to completely strip you of your dignity and your place in the community. And this is where it gets really wild. If you were under the age of 70, getting drunk in public meant they would shave your head, a major sign of shame, and then they would literally demolish your house, tear it right down. But if you were over 70, you were free to drink as much as you wanted, no consequences. It was like a senior citizen perk, a right you earned after a long life of service.
And the unique rules just kept on coming. Disobedient children? Well, they might get held over a fire of smoking chili peppers or pricked with cactus needles to teach them a lesson. Yikes. And what about prisoners of war? Their fate was pretty grim. They were sometimes tied up and used as human targets for archery practice. So yeah, every part of life, from childhood to war, was governed by this incredibly stark code.
So when you look at all of this, the personal slavery for theft, the houses demolished for drunkenness, the ritualized executions, it just forces you to ask a question. The Aztec system was clearly about maintaining order, yeah? But it was also incredibly public and performative. So the final thought I want to leave you with is this. At what point does a system of justice stop being about punishment and start becoming a public spectacle?